Bodacious rant with Burn and Rye. Like and subscribe. If you don't, you will die. This is Burn,
And this is Rye.
and you're listening to the Bodacious rant with Burn and Rye. What it do, my brother?
Oh my God. Well, I'm gonna applaud to that. Just, a little that was a great little rhyme there with the Empire theme song. I love it, Burn. You've just become a master of rhymes and score the last few episodes.
I'm a true artist in every sense of the word. So, I take that mantle with pride.
You truly do. You have paint all over yourself. You have a sweater on. Yeah, you just look like an artist.
Yeah, I got way too many scarves.
But oh man, well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the week. Chapter 11, aka season 2, episode 3 of The Mandalorian has dropped this week, and wow, wow, wow. Every episode has outdone itself this season. Maybe just because we kind of knew we know, for me, maybe it's also because I know what's supposed to happen and to a certain degree or who's supposed to be in it. But this episode was just fantastic. What are your thoughts on it, Burn?
See, my thoughts are wow, wow. Just to jump off of what you said, man. My goodness, like how other way can you really describe it? It was just like you said. This is man. It's just this season has been so good, and we've just been so lucky to be a part of it. Just as passive watchers and not really contributing anything meaningful to it. But but oh man,
Well,
what a
I
delight.
mean, we may not be contributing to the budget, the creativity, basically anything that really makes this show. However, without the audience, there is no show. So let's keep that in mind.
Exactly.
But oh my God, just again, this season is really hitting the ground running, especially like this early on.
They are coming at you from every direction, just hitting you on the best spots of all your Star Wars fandomness, just all over your body. I'm wrecked. I'm completely wrecked.
I'm right there with you. I am just destroyed by this episode in the best sense of the way. Maybe even emotionally, because there was a scene in there that actually kind of hit me in the feels a little bit. We'll talk about that in our spoiler part of this episode, but I know I've been talking about. I mean, maybe we are overhyping this show for some of you guys, but in all honesty, this is another great example of television slash streaming slash just digital shows that just keep setting the bar for itself and really just goes to show how much if you put in the work and really think about the story all the way through what episodes it can bring. And I know I've been saying that I thought the first one was the best one. Screw that noise. This is the best episode. Maybe the next one will probably be better, but right, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that sentiment. This is by far my favorite episode of the show. And surprisingly, it's the shortest episode we've had so far. So the fact that it did so much in so little time, I'm just amazed by it, dude. And it's just so cool that we live in a world where there's a Star Wars show, and we can say that that Star Wars show is just hands down one of the best shows like on air right now. It's crazy. I'm so happy.
And again, it's a show that is better than majority of the movies that have come out for Star Wars.
It's by far one of the best Star Wars things we've had in years.
Yeah, like if this show goes on for 7 or 8 seasons, like Game of Thrones status, I would be livid in a great way, just because I can't get enough of this show. I give this episode easily 5 out of 5 rantings. I could rant about it 10 times over because it was that good.
If I could give it six, I would.
But oh man, I just again just the action this time. This one definitely had. I know Lau last episode he was on an ice planet, but this one aesthetically was felt even colder than that one did. You know what I mean? Like it's not only like because the colors were very what's the word I'm looking for? How it creates that cold feeling for like there's just very a lot of cold colors. Like what's the term for that?
Yeah, I guess just the coloring of the episode, like which is done in post production for people who don't know. It was definitely lent more itself to the colder end of the spectrum, where you're having more of the blues and your grays, and instead of like these oranges or these browns that would make the picture a little warmer, like in the first episode of this season where you're on on Tatooine, which is a sand planet. So that's obviously going to lend itself a little more to warmer colors. Where here you're on more of like a waterish planet, to not say too much. Where yeah, the colors are more colder and yeah, just a little. It feels a little more bleak than the warmer colors.
Yes, it's just and that's the crazy thing too, how it kind of it's changing tone, but it still is very consistent. Like yeah, how we went from Tatooine to an ice planet now to a water planet, even though the colors and like the tone, like the colors are edited differently, it still feels the same show, which is great. Because there are some shows that try and do that for certain things, and then it really just changes it completely for certain episodes. But this one again just has that same consistent tone, which I love.
Yeah, and then that's just building off of what we've said earlier, how just this season they're just hitting the ground running in all sense of the word, where the tone has just been absolutely perfect this season, and it's been absolutely consistent from episode to episode, where you can tell that the writers and the showrunners they've got the I guess you would say the character of the show nailed down.
Absolutely, but enough talking about praise. Let's. I mean, well, we're gonna praise it more. Who am I kidding? But let's get into the spoiler session, shall we?
Yes, yes, I'm down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be the spoiler session. So if you've not seen it, this is the time to come on back, either for the end of the episode or, the next one. Which we will be talking about some other things going on in the Mandalorian. I know we've been talking about this most of the time, but we'll get back to it on schedule, shall we? Though, Burn with spoilers.
Shall we to battle?
Masco, Masco, gotta represent, gotta represent.
Crazy how fitting that song actually is to this episode in particular.
Exactly. Again, no, we're not gonna spoiler sessions begin now. So, with that said, again, just this is really making me rethink about the Mandalorian and his character and his code, just because how you know, real quick before I get into that, what gave me when I was talking about how it hit me in the feels, it was when the frog lady was on the docks and she's just like, she has her eggs and she's looking for her husband, just like calling out. I was like, oh no, please don't tell me he's not there. Like I was getting a little emotional because it's just like she's so adorable and she's a good character so far in the only 2 episodes we've really seen her in, and it was just sad because she was making that call. I was like, oh, this sounds like it's gonna be really sad. But then you see the husband on the other side. I was like, oh, thank God. It kind of reminded me of American Tail a little bit. 5-0. Oh man, but
Yeah.
that was a nice heartwarming scene to kind of like alleviate from the bleakness and the despair that the Mandalorian's gone through the last couple episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was such a wholesome moment. I was like, "Oh, this is so nice. We needed something like that, this year." So I was just like, I was right there with her, just excited. I was like, "Oh, this is a great moment. I really enjoy this. Damn you, Baby Yoda, for eating their children."
Yeah, but this episode I think also kind of like again, he is a baby, so he did eat some of her children, but babies will put anything in their mouths. They don't know any better. But I think this episode he's starting to understand like yes, he is still hungry because he eyeballed those eggs like, wait, what about food?
Mhm.
But but I think he's getting a more sense of life. Like how he was just kind of eating everything in his path, didn't care about what the consequences were. I think this time around he's slowly learning the object the opposite side of that. So that
Yeah.
I love the growth in that. And honestly, I will say too, Mando's become a lot more expression like through his voice and stuff like that. Like there's more emotion and more excitement in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I did notice that, like when he was talking to the two frog people, like the cadence in his voice, the pitch sounded a little different. Like exactly how you said, it sounds like he's showing more emotion, from the voice acting alone.
Yeah, and then well, also when he had that borderline crash landing onto that planet, how he was really freaking out. It wasn't just like, okay, we gotta pull up, like, because the last season he was a little monotone, which isn't bad. I think it kind of contributed to his outlaw-like character and bounty
Yeah,
hunter persona, but
lone warrior type of character, the gunslinger out on his own. Yeah, it just fit into that mold more so than in this season, I would say.
Yeah, but this one I'm definitely digging the more he's getting he's because he's embraced this child, a foundling, he's becoming more attached and feeling more like open to more things. So I'm really digging that on Pedro Pascal's part. His voice acting like is he's getting really great at it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and then again, like you were saying about Baby Yoda's progression, I'm glad Baby Yoda's having a little bit of a character progression because it would be very easy not to, especially for a character like him, which is really just a character that you can only play for cuteness if you wanted to, just to do funny things here and there. But
Exactly.
giving him like a character like in last episode, he had a complete disregard, as you said, for a lot of his surroundings and just the effect he had on the outside world, and then for him to have that little moment with him and the frog family and the little newborn baby, you can see like the gears are turning in the little baby Yoda's head that okay, now he's starting to understand now.
Yeah, the beginning and the end ended on a very wholesome and happy notes where when Mando had to do the mission, which we're going to talk more about who these characters are, especially for those of you who haven't really watched all the Star Wars like shows, series, especially Clone Wars for this one. We're going to get into that in just a second, but we just want to talk about the emotional stuff first, where he is playing with a little tadpole and the parents, and I was worried like, oh God, please do not look away because he will eat that child. But
I was like, no, no, don't you dare.
this time, when he first saw the eggs and it hatched, I think the way they puppeteered the child was like it really kind of showed like a sense of wonder in his eyes and his voice where he's just like, oh, like a baby like me, like that's really cool. And then how they're playing around with the parents, like he's like, oh, I have my little friend here. And I could tell he was very upset. Like, I mean, everyone should be able to know he was very upset when Din like picked him up, like, all right, let's go. And he's like, wait, I'm still playing. Like, come on,
Uh-huh.
that's my friend now. And he's like, no, 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 we gotta go. Come on. And when he's like kind of fussing with him a little bit, like making his noises, like, no, I don't need another pet. I thought, yeah, please don't.
Like God, like a parent that has already too much to handle. Like I don't want another one.
Exactly. Or it's like, I already have a child. I don't need like a dog or a cat to deal with it either. Like another child, essentially. So that was just really nice to see the parents like together and that their eggs are already starting to hatch. So it's like, okay, they found their home. They're gonna settle down. So I think the chapter with the frog family is done, at least for now. We'll have to see what happens because the frog lady got her own character poster, and so did Cobb Vanth. So it's making me think, are they just characters? Are they just cool character posters for this season? Or are they going to be long-lasting characters, kind of like Cara Dune and Giancarlo Esposito's his villain? What's that guy's name again? It's
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, and then remind me Apollo Creed's character again.
Oh, damn it, I'm forgetting his name.
I can't think about it. I'm so bad, and I keep forgetting the actor's name too. What's his name again?
The actor?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, you see now you're
Carl
rubbing off.
Weathers. Carl
Oh,
Weathers. Okay,
yeah.
I got it. I got it. Okay, yeah. Again, that's what is great about this show so far is that characters that they set up in season one, we thought, oh, it's just going to be one time thing. But as the finale showed, they're starting to become more recurring characters. And from the trailer, we're going to see them again. So I think maybe the Frog Lady and Cobb Vanth we'll definitely see more of, or at least I hope so, because they've been great additions so far.
Yeah, I do think like a lot of the characters that we met in the first season, they'll probably come back at some point, maybe in the last two episodes to play some bigger role in the narrative of this season in particular. At least I'm hoping they do that.
And also another thing I like about this show too is that it's showing more variations of certain species in the Star Wars lore. How we've seen different kinds of Jawas. We've only seen one kind of Tusken Raider, aka Sand People, but now we're seeing more Mon Calamari, which are General Admiral Akbar's race of fish like shrimp creatures. I would say they're kind of like shrimp. I think.
Yeah, they're like they're like space like shrimp squid head dudes.
Yeah, I don't know what I think. Yeah, I think they're definitely more like fish, where it's
Yeah,
just
they're
like
like
they have the big old eyes and like that beak like mouth kind of thing.
the
So
calamari.
so it was kind of seeing that, and also seeing them not in such a great light. Like
Yeah.
how we haven't seen them a whole lot. I'll give you that. But like in the Clone Wars shows, the original films, and even the sequel trilogy, we've seen them to be honorable members of the Republic and the Rebel Alliance, where they fought for the good of the galaxy and for their freedom. But this time, it's just really it's another great thing about the show is that yes, we've seen them in certain versions of the other, but this show really just goes to kind of normalize everything where there's good parts of aliens, and then there's also the ones that are just out for their own sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, it just goes to show the good diversity that they're using these background characters and how they're using them in different ways than we've seen in the animated shows or in the movies. So it really fleshes them out as not just being one like stereotype of a type of character for like these aliens that they're all like this and they all do these things. It's like no, this is a big universe with very diverse characters. It's like we're gonna see them in different lights, and I'm so glad that the show is deciding to do that with a lot of these ancillary alien characters.
Yeah, so that was not kind of funny to see, and then yeah, when it's just like, oh, we're getting closer to seeing Mandalorians. Like the frog people were definitely not lying,
Hmm.
like, or at least the mechanic they didn't get lied to. Let's look at it that way. That yeah,
Yeah,
they
fast.
said they knew somebody, or seen members wearing Beskar armor. Which, for those of you who are still unsure, the Beskar is specific to the Mandalorians. That's what their armor is made of. So whenever you hear someone wearing Beskar armor, just know it's automatically Mandalorian, or at least it should be.
Yeah, it's an
And
element unique to Mandalore, so that's why that was their biggest what do you call it, their ecological resource that it seems like the Empire purged them all of it. So well, I'm excited to see what they do with that. But yeah, that's what Beskar is.
very Avatar themed kind of idea behind the Beskar this season too, where it's like how an Avatar was like, oh, on Obtanium, that's what we're here for, and that's what the biggest element on Pandora, where it made all the mountains float, and that's where a lot of their weapons and stuff were made out of, kind of thing. So it's very much like the unobtainium of Star Wars, if you will, which I'm sure some people are like, why are you comparing this to Avatar? Don't compare it to Avatar. I'm like, I love Avatar, so go screw yourselves if you're saying that.
Just let him have.
But yeah, and when they get on that ship thinking like, okay, they're getting somewhere, it was so messed up just how that I forgot what that other race of aliens, those like squid-like face guys, the Cthulhus, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just
however you want to pronounce it.
yeah. He just hit the baby's cradle into this pit for a
Yeah,
sea monster.
God, I was like, how could you do this? I was like, no, God, that was so terrifying. I was completely just like, oh my God, no, what are they gonna do? What's gonna happen? The baby can't be eaten like this.
I was just thinking like, what a monster. You're gonna feed this child like it's a baby. Why would you do that? And again, I know we were talking about vulnerability last episode, especially about how, Din Djarin, the Mando, he's not invulnerable, and it really is kind of going back a callback to that episode 3 of the season, chapter 3 of last season, where the armorer says, "When you walk the way of the Mandalore, you are both hunter and prey." And this season could not be more evident of that, where yeah, the people are just after his Beskar armor left and right.
Yeah, he's gotten his like he's gotten his, especially in these first 3 episodes of this season where yeah, he's been in really bad situations, and yeah, he does get out of them because if not we wouldn't have a show. But just the fact that he's even getting into those situations again just goes to show that he's a character that has to be resourceful. He's not overpowered.
Yeah, and again, this one definitely was like pretty bleak because he jumped in after the child to try and fish him out of there from that, essentially water sarlacc pit. And oh my God, just that next scene, I thought, oh, we're doing it.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. this is happening right now. Yes, yes.
And why we're so excited for this, ladies and gentlemen, which not only was Katie Sackhoff a great addition to this show, and I'm glad she was the voice actress as well for the Star Wars Clone Wars series, in which her history was in that show where Obi-Wan and Anakin and the legendary Jedi Ahsoka Tano fought with the Mandalorians and protected their queen, essentially, of Mandalore. And Bo-Katan was the queen's sister in that show. So if you haven't seen that show, her character was really cool. Had a great story arc in that. And yeah, it was just great seeing Katie Sackhoff not only do the voice for it, but seeing her play live action. I think that's a really good service to not only fans, but I think the actress herself.
Yeah, it was such a great move because she did voice the character in the show, but before that, she's been acting in a lot of things. He's like Battlestar Galactica is the biggest thing that she's been, and so she's an actor who is capable of not only voice acting but actually acting. So just the fact that they could bring her character from the Clone Wars series and her voice acting role into the live action, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I'm glad they didn't recast that role for her, especially.
Yeah, and she got her head chopped off by Michael Myers in one of those Halloween movies. So that was that, and the rapper that was supposed to be Busta Rhymes. We were talking about that a while ago.
That is right. Yep. Callback. Correct that episodes after the fact. Thank you.
Like, I know we couldn't think about it, but it was just like I thought about it after the fact. Anyways, though, but yes, so it was really cool after like her and Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Varnado, which I thought was really cool. They put her real name up there. Like, it would have been nice to see Sasha Banks just because that's what I know her as. And I only found out right after I watched the episode because there's been spoilers all freaking day about it. So it was it was, and I know Sasha was really happy. Apparently she took a selfie with her name on the show, and she's just so excited about, which I'm like, you should be. Not only are you a famous wrestler, but now you're part of one of the biggest franchises in pop culture. Like, that's awesome. You know?
Yeah.
And and one other article I saw before we keep going was that saying everyone thought Sasha Banks' character they were wrong. And I was kind of like, yeah, I was a little wrong at that point.
Yeah.
Because we just didn't know who she was going to be. Was she be a character from Star Wars Rebels? Was she going to be a Sith or a Jedi? And again, we were completely wrong, where she was just another member of the Night Owl section, the Night Owl clan of the Mandalorians, which I'm pretty sure is the name. I'm not 1,000% sure, but yes, again, just seeing Bo-Katan live action with her armor and everything was, I didn't think Din Djarin and the heavy infantry Mandalorian from last season were the coolest ones. Oh, and the armor, but Bo-Katan, you are up there now. My God, like, just fantastic.
Yeah, her armor translated so well into live action. Like immediately when I saw like the design of her mask, I was like, that's Bo-Katan. Like that can't be anybody else, but that is straight up Bo-Katan. So when they like finally, I was like just waiting with bated breath for her to like reveal her name and all that stuff. And I was like, once it was said I was like, oh my God, it's official now. We have this character in live action. I'm so excited.
Exactly. I just got a little I'm getting goosey. I'm going goosey over here. Oh, I am. That's how I felt when she took her, and that was one of the best scenes too. Is that they saved Din, they were able to get the child out, no problem. And how I was saying this episode really made me think was when they just took off their helmets, no problem. Even though the Mandalorian has a faceless expression, his body movement was just like taken back. Like, how did you get that armor? Like, he assumes that they're not Mandalorians,
Yep.
and but that's when Sasha Banks's character and I forgot the other guy's name. I've seen him in a couple other things. He's I think like an action actor, but
Yeah.
and a dramatic guy. But they were kind of just like, oh, he's part of the Watch, and it's like, what does that mean? And that's when she introduces herself, saying, I'm born on Mandalore, I'm the last of my clan," which she is because her sister's dead.
Yeah.
She was killed by Darth Maul, or Darth Maul.
Yeah.
No, was it Darth Maul? Okay, because I know
Darth Maul or Savage Opress, one of those two, but I do believe it was Darth Maul.
because I thought Vizsla killed her in the coup for Mandalore. I don't remember, but um, either way, she died, and she's like, you know, you're she basically pinned it that he's the crazy one. And I thought that was really funny just because this whole show is supposed to be about the Mandalorian and their way of life. And I thought I really they have an honorable code, but at the same time this episode kind of flips it where it's like you guys are fanatics. You're part of the problem with Mandalore, why it fell essentially, which was because I think it was either Previs or Aposvis in the Clone Wars series, in which Mandalore fell, was that they were part of the Death Watch group, which is the
Hmm.
group that also saved Din Djarin as a child. And they're essentially they are zealots in Mandalore, where they have to go back to the old ways of just, almost like the way of the samurai, where when you are armored up and you fight for your planet no matter what, almost like a nationalist idea, and not necessarily kind of living your life free as a Mandalorian. So that led to a whole situation in that show. And it just kind of, again, it just flipped in on his ear where he kind of thought, wait, like, why am I crazy? You guys take off your helmets. It's like, we're doing nothing wrong.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought that was a cool bit of lore there. Just the whole situation with, what is a Mandalorian and who gets to decide like what the actual definition of the word is, and how they're supposed to conduct themselves and with their armor and all that. Just because, I mean, we see, Mandalorians in the show, in the Clone Wars, where they'll take their helmets off, like there wasn't like an issue, that wasn't like a part of their creed. So it's like, okay, so that means now with Din and others of his particular section of the Mandalorians, I think she referred to them as like children of the Watch, like that. So,
Yes,
so
yeah, basically
right.
you're a foundling, but you're part of that cult essentially, which she did call him a cult, and I could totally see it now.
Yeah, and that's just so interesting because it just leads my nerdy brain to think that maybe, at some point after the Death Watch, after they align themselves with Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, that maybe they felt that they needed to be extreme about going to the old ways of Mandalore. That was kind of like their way of atoning for what they did and helping, Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, take over the Mandalorian planet.
Yeah, and if we are correct in assuming the Death Watch joined Darth Maul, and they did get the whole red and black paint job on their suits, but then when we see them in last season, how they're very pastel looking, where it's like the light, that very faint, like teal colors and stuff like that, it makes me think maybe they did lose themselves and decided to go back to the traditional colors of the Death Watch. And that's why they start those just like you're saying, I think they started those coverts again just because they want to rebuild their factions of Mandalore, but also just they kind of have to have a way of life in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we lost our way and we're gonna go to the extreme to get it back.
Honestly, it's this whole episode how we've been talking about how there's two sides to everything. It's really putting Jango and Boba into perspective. Like the ones that were exiled and Boba's not even a real Mandalorian, they're kind of seen as like this is what they became because Din Djarin started out as a bounty hunter just like the other Mandalorians, and again, it's just really just makes you think like are they in the wrong, or are they just living their lives as well, however they can. It's just it's such a complicated thing that it just twists my brain up. I'm mind bottled right now.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun things to think about.
Yeah, so that was really cool to see them and how he originally rejected them. Like, I don't want anything when you have to do. It's almost like someone exposing you to the truth, but you're just in denial. Like, no, you're not Mandalorian. Stay away from me. And they're kind of like, well, he'll come around, kind of look, which
Yeah.
is and that's when they talk. And I also like how she's like, "How much do you know about the Jedi?" And he's like, "Nothing." So she's hinting like, "Okay, well, at least we have that." Because I thought he was gonna say like, "I just know they're enemy sorcerers, and I have to take this child to them," kind of thing. And so I was really kind of hoping she would say like, the Jedi aren't all bad like that. They've been our enemies, but we fought because she fought with Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan. So it's like it's just kind of crazy to think about that. But I
Yeah, this
love.
is how just exactly just Bo-Katan's her backstory. She's been through like a lot with the Jedi and all this stuff. So if anyone Mandalorian is knowledgeable about that, it's definitely her by a mile.
Hmm. Exactly. And again, I just love, the other two Mandalorians with her, how it's like they're although they didn't really have a lot to go with, like Sasha Banks didn't really have a lot to say, and neither did that other actor, but they just their presence and their expressions is just really kind of like empowered, Sackhoff and Pascal to really just show the Mandalorian. It just made it better.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't just get anyone to, sit around in armor and have them really embody just the badassness of it. Them just being like exactly, just basically existing, just, Sasha Banks just standing there and the other guy just standing there. Even then, they looked like imposing warriors, which they should be because along with Bo-Katan, they've been through a lot. And that's also one thing that was really cool about their action scene together is you can tell that they are a legit unit. Like they've been doing battled together for a long time. It's just how efficient they've been in that, in the beginning action sequence and then later on in the action sequence at the end of the episode.
Yeah, the intimidation factor was pretty big with them. Like, again, Sackhoff, not only was she gorgeous, but she came off as, Bo-Katan in real life. And they just added on to just like, okay, these are three elite Mandalorians. Like, and honestly, when they contribute to their raid of that Imperial ship, where another great cameo, Titus Welliver. I mean, I got excited when I saw him. I don't know about.
Yeah, that was actually pretty stoked. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
At first, I thought, wait, is that? I'm like, that's Titus Welliver, and he's a huge nerd too. Like all the Hot Toys and stuff that we like, he has a whole collection to himself. Like he's really into that stuff, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember when you told me about that and you showed me, I think he had like a video of like his living room with like just shelves and shelves of his collection. Just, oh my God, I was like, this guy's living the dream.
If I had his money, I would totally be doing the same thing.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, he's just absolutely spending it on toys.
They're posable. It's an action figure. But yeah, and then when they conduct their raid to kind of getting back all the weapons supposedly stolen from Mandalore, I immediately, when she was telling him the deal about, I'll point you to a Jedi, you just have to help me with something because they have stuff stolen from us. I kind of got a vibe like, is that true, or are you just saying that to get something out of them? I don't know. I wasn't sure when I saw it, but when they raided that ship, I thought, man, Mando's a little, he's not as elite as I thought he was compared to them three at least, because they were just straight up badass.
Yeah, they were an absolute precision force of nature, just how they would, weave in through those tight corridors with just, and like a little squadron of troopers, in front of them. Just you're like, okay, I mean that's like a wall of guns. How are you gonna do that? And they're just boom, weaving back and forth, just constantly on the offensive, just and then Mando's just kind of like a step two behind them, just kind of like watching like, oh my gosh, just like the rest of us, like these guys are insane.
Yeah, again, we've seen him do some crazy stuff, and in every episode when he's with another team, he's usually led the way in combat. But this time it was almost like the one who's the one that the show's about. You're the rookie in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys have years of experience in actual like full on scale like battle, wars, the Clone Wars per se.
Yeah, and it's crazy that it's like, Bo has been around since the Clone Wars, so she was there for the Purge, the Rise of the Empire, and the Fall of the Empire.
She
Like
been through a lot.
she has, and she looks fantastic doing it. Just I have a huge crush on Katie Sackhoff. She's another beautiful actress, and
Yeah.
just again, very talented woman. So, and she was also in Longmire. If we're talking about shows, like I think that's another one she's become really iconic for.
Hmm.
Yeah. But let's keep going. So that was crazy to see. And then when they get stuck in the cargo hold and they brilliantly take out the rest of those troopers and that that lieutenant or whatever, that officer, it was just, it was so messed up just how she's like, "Oh, we're taking the ship. So, put a pot on for us." And Mando's just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You said we would get the weapons and go. You didn't say anything about taking the ship. Like, are you, he's basically saying, are you insane? Like, how are we
Hmm.
going to get there at this point? Like, and she's like, well, if you want my help, you're going to do this. And how he's just like, no, you're changing the deal. And then when she just throws that line on him, almost like F you to him, like, this is the way. It was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I just got a very like she was just almost hypocritical in that aspect. Like it's like, so you're gonna criticize him for being a zealot, but you're just doing some shady shit for your own means. Like you're not perfect either, Bo. That's messed up.
Yeah, there was a nice little Darth Vader moment where, I altered the deal. This is her version of that.
Oh my god, that's so true. Because she said that he said that to Lando Calrissian, where when they were working with Boba Fett. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, she has her little Darth Vader moment. And again, yeah, just her throwing that line back to his face. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
I just again, I just got a very like just not only hypocritical view, but also just very like, oh, you deceitful minx, how dare you?
You played me, damn it. But I'm still coming with you.
I mean, at that point, he had no choice. It's like, okay, well, there's 3-on-1, and he's seen what they were doing, so it's like, well, let's get it done quickly, and then keep waiting. And again, he still fought with him. He proved his worth, especially when they were stuck in that hallway, because how Titus Welliver's character just called Moff Gideon, and he's like, well, you know what to do. Like, if they're in the cargo hold and stuff, there's not much you can do.
Hmm.
Long live the
Oh,
Empire. And the pilots are looking at each other like, what the frick are you gonna do to us? I just thought, damn, they knew it was coming. Oh man.
that was just a cold-blooded moment. Just again building how scary this character Gideon is. Weller. Yeah, I don't know his name
Titus Welliver. Yeah, we
in,
didn't know his
in
name.
the show. Yeah, but yeah, Titus Weller's character. He's more afraid of going back and answering to Moff Gideon than he is dying to these Mandalorians. That says a lot.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and if I just thought about it, but it's kind of poetic just that Moff Gideon, who's an Empire like zealot, like a fanatic, created Din Djarin, who's now a fanatic in the eyes of true Mandalorians. Like,
Ah,
I
that's a
think
nice
that's
world to their characters.
I think that's kind of just poetic how it's like one fanatic and one zealot creates another zealot, even if it's on the completely opposite side of him. I just thought about that and I thought that's pretty good writing. That's fantastic.
That's writing.
Basically, just Jay Dunphy or no, not I forgot Jay's name in Modern Family, but she's crazy. That's fantastic. Like that would be him when John Favreau's just reading him like his idea for the show. Just oh my god, what are they saying? This is great.
I know. Even John Favreau having sole writing credit on these episodes. My gosh, this
Him and
guy's a plus.
him and
Just a,
Filoni, man, they're ugh. I can't I can't get enough of it. But I'm glad they were able to make it to the bridge to stop Wells from basically doing a suicide bomb with that plane, that
Mhm.
ship. And I love how she was like, "Hey, he had that." The whole point of them getting the bridge was because that officer knows what Gideon has because I needed to rule Mandalore. And
Mhm.
honestly, she is the rightful ruler to it. Her sister was the last legitimate leader of Mandalore, so I agree with that now that I think about it. And yeah, just how she's like the dark saber. I need it. Like I want it. And he's like, well, if you already know, then, or if you're asking, then you
Yeah.
already know. And first off, he's not gonna give it to you. So good luck getting him, because. And then how he just aced himself that like shock, uh, that shock tooth thing, basically like a
Yeah.
poison capsule.
Yeah. Exactly. This is a Star Wars version of like a cyanide pill. It's just like a little electric thing that just, I guess, fries his brain. Thought that was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy.
It's a good hint at what the Emperor had instilled in the Empire, just how Palpatine basically used his dark side to morph these people. Like again, that whole lightning tooth, that's essentially like a force lightning pill that he just ate, and it's like, oh shit, like yeesh, the Emperor still lives with that.
Yeah, his evilness still resonates, even though well, I guess he's not dead, but at this point, people thought he was dead.
I'm gonna say for the sake of it, he was dead at this point in the show. Like I mean, obviously the sequel trilogy has other things to say about it, but I think he should have stayed dead. And at that
Yep.
point in the world, he was dead. So, just again, long live the Empire and all that stuff. And I thought it was pretty messed up. But then I like how when they save the ship, and she's like, "Okay, you like not only did you fight bravely, but I'll keep my head of the bargain. Like I'm sorry for changing it, but you'll find Ahsoka Tano." And it was like, oh, she just said her name out loud. Like,
It's
oh
like,
my god.
dude, oh my God, I legit like cheered and clapped like an idiot when she said the name Ahsoka Tano, just because, oh my gosh, I love that character so much. So to know that she's actually legit coming, like, we've had speculation, we've had like casting that hasn't necessarily been confirmed, outright by Disney or the actress herself. So, it could always just be one of those things where fans are just getting ahead of themselves and saying, okay, this character's popping up and this person's playing him. And then you're like, oh, wait, actually, no. Nope, that's not the case. Ahsoka Tano is going to make an appearance in this show, and I cannot be more excited.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think I'm getting a vibe it's gonna happen next episode, or at least I kind of hope it does, and I kind of hope she's gonna be a long-standing character. Or I want Bo-Katan to come back. That's my biggest thing. I hope these Mandalorians come back
They
because
have to.
if they don't, that'll be very disappointing just because it's but honestly, now that I'm really like we're talking about it, what if this show is gonna lead to the retaking of Mandalore?
I could see that. I could
Because
definitely.
how she's setting that precedent, that could be next season where it's just like, okay, well, I'm you helped me once, please help me again. Let's retake Mandalore for our own kind, and you could truly be like, part of us kind of thing where I don't know. I could just kind of see her bridging the gap a little bit with this episode, how she worked with him and she told him, like, yeah, you're going to go see this person to take this child to the Jedi. I think she's going to definitely be like, okay, well, I respect you, even though I don't agree with your beliefs. So it's okay.
Maybe they offer him. Oh man, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'm thinking maybe like his plan of giving the baby to Ahsoka is just not going to work out. I have a feeling that's where the direction of the show is going to go. Like he's going to try to, pass off the child to Ahsoka, and for whatever reason, she'll either decline or there'll be a change of heart, and he'll want to keep the baby. And maybe that's what these Mandalorians kind of offer him, saying, "Hey, if you help us take back our home, it can be your home too, where you can live and raise the child here."
Again, I it would be great to see the child grow up in like a time jump for this series and see him become a Mandalorian himself, like a like an alien Mandalorian. Because
Hmm.
we've only seen one type, which is basically humans essentially, and how but I want to see those big ears sticking out of like his own custom helmet and colors. Like,
Yeah.
I just think that'd be really neat to see, especially in Boba Fett's colors, because that's kind of what Yoda rocked, anyways, like the green and the tan. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, but just and then it was really funny too when he goes back to his ship after getting the child back from the Frog family. Just this is what you did. I gave you 1,000 credits to fix this, and he's kind of like, just sign for it. Like you get what you get.
Yeah, the Mon Calamari just like, dude, you're lucky this thing is even running at this point. The Razor Crest is just taking such a beating that it's magnificent that it even just turns on.
Yeah, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, before we finish up, it's like, where is Boba Fett? We saw him in the first chapter of this season, but I mean, hopefully he'll come back because again, he has his armor still. I want to see what's gonna happen with Boba.
Yeah, this is definitely going to come back into play. So I know we're not done with Boba. We're definitely going to get some closure with that story there.
And I really do hope that Tamora Morrison's gonna play also. If Captain Rex is alive at this point, which I think he should be, it'd be great if he's in there with his big old bushy white beard,
His great big bushy beard.
and also it'd be cool if he played Gregor and Wolf just to kind of like add on to just the lore of like Ahsoka and those three, old clone commanders. Because if Bo-Katan could survive the Clone Wars, all three of them obviously did in Rebels. So I'm hopeful. I haven't seen Rebels, so I don't know if they die or not. So sorry if I'm getting this stuff wrong or my predictions are off, but screw it, I'm excited.
Yeah, again, I've only seen a handful of episodes with Rebels, and I did see an episode with their characters, and they're very much alive. So, there's definitely a chance if we do see Rex, then we'll see the other two. I imagine.
I'm hoping that's who Tamora Morrison plays. It'd be a little bit disappointing if all he does play is Boba, just because, again, it is great they brought him back for that, but it's like he also plays the clone commanders. Like let's keep that going. Let's use this budget to triple him.
It's like you've got one actor to play all these roles. Like, you guys have a deal. I guess it's a steal of a deal.
If Cheech Marin can do it and From Dusk Till Dawn playing like three or four different people, I think they could do it for Mandalorian.
And if Michael Myers can play all those roles in the Austin Powers movies, then he can do it too.
Multiple characters in one movie. What is he, a wizard?
What is he, a wizard?
He's
Oh,
so
Mac, he just did
stupid.
not get it.
He's one of the best lines of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just he did not grasp the fact that Mike Myers played Fat Bastard, Doctor Evil, and Austin Powers. Just his face of disbelief. Just multiple characters in one movie. Like, what are you crazy? That's not
Is he a wizard?
I mean, that's kind of how I thought as a kid too, watching movies. I just thought like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way they're the same person. But then my dad's like,
child's perspective. That just goes to show Mac is a giant child.
my dad was like, you realize that's all the same person? I'm like, no, no, it's not. And then I looked it up, or as I got older, I'm like, yeah, I could see it. Never mind, he was right.
Mhm.
It's just so great. But that will conclude the spoiler session for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are back tuning in for our last few minutes, if you need to you need to catch up. If you haven't seen the last few episodes of this season of Mandalorian, you better hop on it. Or if you just want to wait to binge it all, then God bless you, because I do not have that self control when it comes to this.
Uh-uh. Nope, nope. I do not have that level of patience. Not with Star Wars. I need to see it right now.
Oh man, but a lot of I can't wait for next week. This season has been so great to us. It's gonna be a bummer to wait another year for this.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I'm not looking forward to. Is once the season is done, is just no Mando. What am I going to do then? What is there to life?
Well, now that I think about it, recently in recent news, WandaVision got announced. However, we were wrong in assuming that it would be this holiday season. It will be coming out in late January or mid-January of next year.
Okay, so not too much of a delay from that because I'm thinking what Mando's going to end at some point in December. So
If
a few weeks of downtime between shows, I guess it's not too bad.
No, if my math is correct, this will end around right before Christmas. So
Hmm.
there's that. But also, it kind of makes sense too, because Disney wouldn't want several shows of its biggest properties kind of competing for
Yeah.
attention, essentially. So I understand that. It's a bummer, but at the same time, we still have Falcon Winter Soldier coming out sometime next year, and all these Marvel movies are gonna have to drop. Like the slate did get pushed back, like everything else this year. So all the movies that were supposed to come out are gonna come out next year, and that's all we can hope for. In all honesty, we just gotta keep strutting as long as we can for the rest of this 2020.
Hmm.
And
We're almost
yeah,
there, guys.
I mean, especially when the next generation of consoles have come out this year, that's still a good thing too for those who can afford them and are able to get them. Just because I know they're still out of stock everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think also retailers are just keeping it strictly to online. They don't want people crowding the stores any more than they already are with stuff with the holiday season coming up. So
Right.
that's the best case scenario. And I'm waiting on mine. I've seen too many articles about Xbox and PS5 just breaking down as soon as people put their stuff on them.
Yeah, yeah, but it's you always want to at least wait only a few months so they can get all the little kinks worked out.
Yeah, it is a bummer too though that Cyberpunk 2077 got pushed back till next month, but at the same time, I can get my Christmas shopping done out of the way, so December, spending it on me.
And yeah, Cyberpunk better come out in December. Damn it!
I
Stop
mean,
delaying
there's talks that it may delay it again. I mean, I hope
Uh,
not, but it's like you guys have delayed this 50 times already. Given we want the product to be ready and released, but if you're gonna keep promising dates and not release it, it's like you might as well just say to be determined essentially until you guys get everything done. I hate when video games keep doing that.
yeah, it is heartbreaking over and over again.
it's just annoying to the consumer. Like, if anything, you're gonna lose more hype by keep delaying it. You just better just say, okay, we'll let you guys know it should be coming around this time, but no promises. We'll let you guys know when we have more completed, instead of trying to deliver it by a certain window. But I'm sure also they're trying to get it done by their schedule. So it just kind of reminds me of Mythic Quest, where it's like, no, we can't delay this DLC. We've been working on it. We got to do it. No, I think we need to push it back. It's like, no. But I think that'll do it for me. Any other thoughts on this last episode, Burn?
Oh man, just I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's all I can say, man.
Oh man, I do too. This is a season I'm definitely gonna rewatch when it's done.
Oh yeah, definitely. All these episodes have been so good, so I can go back and rewatch to my heart's content.
And honestly, even when this season's done, it's like you can keep rewatching season 1 and 2 because they have great rewatchability.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the show too. The standalone episodes you can go back and rewatch no problem. Like I've already watched a few episodes here and there, so it's just so fun. This show is absolutely fantastic, and I can't praise it enough.
Me neither, man. But until next time, we're gonna talk about some upcoming stuff. I don't want to say anything now, but it won't be as Mandalorian related. So if you guys are not caught up yet, we'll talk about something else to take your minds off and all that good stuff. But until then, keep staying bodacious and keep ranting, ladies and gentlemen. And please comment, anything you thought about this season, this episode specifically, just because we want to hear your thoughts. We want to know how you guys are loving it. And yeah, we appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, be good and be safe, because this is the way.
This is the way. Good day to you, my friend.
Adios, man.